Hello. Back, we've had a little bit of a hiatus. It's not a hiatus, we've just been busy doing things with this. So back to normal videos and reviewing new things that are coming, etc., so on and so forth. What am I saying? I'm BS, well, we are BS. I'm Bethany, Austin's behind the camera. We get a lot of complaints about interrupting each other. So I'm just starting now to tell you that he's there,
Hi.
I'm here. We have conversations about the product in which I am speaking about. And that's just how we interact. Sometimes we're both on screen, sometimes I'm off, he's on. It just depends on the day, what we're both doing, etc. As this is obviously a sideline, doing reviews, high-end stuff, is a sideline from our real job. And as you know, the UK is currently in a national lockdown, so no shops are allowed to open. So we're conducting business online, etc., which just makes our jobs a little bit harder. All the details for our website and our Instagrams to check out in any new products are down below. On our channel, we review high-end luxury products, whether they are for sale with us, in our luxury resale shop in Shepton Mallet, Somerset, or our personal buys, personal pickups, personal reviews, personal hauls, personal experiences, personal. So today, you probably know from the title that we are reviewing Gucci, vintage Gucci to be exact. And I see a lot of queries and questions about this range of Gucci in particular, and I wanted to talk about it and open a little bit of a discussion about it because I personally find it really interesting, and I just wanted to share what I know about the product. I previously worked for Gucci, although this line was never discussed because it was vintage and I worked there in a lot of a more modern time, shall we say. It's still interesting, and these bags do come up quite a lot and people still do have questions about them. So this is a Gucci bucket bag, very similar to the Louis Vuitton Noe. If you're familiar with that bag, we also had that in store and we did a review. I will link it somewhere and you can check it out on our channels. It's a very classic bucket bag-esque shoulder bag. It will go crossbody because there is an adjustable buckle strap, which I'll get to in a minute, but I suggest it would have been sold as a shoulder bag. It's in the classic Gucci coated canvas finish. This one is it feels a lot tougher. It's almost like oil clothy, which I'll get to in a minute, and it's got your classic Gucci sort of tan brown, mid-brown leather trim. Now this is from Gucci Plus. You'll know if it is Gucci Plus because it says Plus in the middle of the GGs. The GG Supreme monogram print has a little plus in between. Also, the labelling will have plus, which I'll get onto in a minute. These were produced in the 1980s by it was either the son or the grandson of Mr. Gucci. I won't start going into names because my pronunciation is not there. No. But Mr. Gucci founded Gucci. It was either his son or his grandson. I will actually put in the description box which one it is exactly because I want to get my facts right. But basically, he tried to leave the company. He didn't want to be part of the company anymore, and he won a lawsuit to be able to use the GG monogram and the name Gucci because it was their surname. It was a family name as opposed to like a brand name back then, trademarked, etc. It was a family name. So he won the rights to use all their logo in, etc. However, he changed it up a bit and put Plus in it because obviously it wasn't even a sister brand. It was a
totally different brand, technically.
A completely different brand, but obviously owned by a member of the Gucci family. They were designed to be more robust and more durable than the average Gucci, and that's where I come back to the canvas because I do think the canvas is a little bit more structured, a little bit more oilclothy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
You can see now as I'm holding it, I don't know how much that's in the camera, but it's a very solid bag. It doesn't slouch, it's there.
I think a lot of the vintage Gucci of that kind of era, I'm talking Gucci, not necessarily Gucci Plus, was definitely more slouchy and
more
kind
canvassy.
Of, I wouldn't say thinner, but I don't mean less quality, but I think, like you say, it would be less structure to it.
Like the canvas we see today. It's more canvasy, like a material.
Whereas this is quite hard.
Coated.
Yeah.
So that's why you'll see the plus in between these ones. So they were a line of bags produced by the Gucci family, a member of the Gucci family, in the 1980s. It was later, it didn't work basically, and it disappeared into the abyss. They used the same materials, they used the same
manufacturers of materials. Yeah, you're right.
As Gucci.
That's why they look so similar.
That's why they look so similar, and obviously they won the lawsuit for the branding. Gucci themselves actually tried to reprise the Plus range in a special, like some special edition stuff over the years, and again it didn't work for them. And that was actually under Gucci. They thought it would be cool to bring it back because it was a thing that happened in their history. So in terms of whether people say is it authentic or not, it is. It's Gucci. It's a Gucci bag made by a member of the Gucci family using Gucci materials, using Gucci logos. So I'm gonna say, although it wasn't done under Mr. Gucci's umbrella, is still Gucci.
I think the important thing, like you just said, is this technically wasn't made by Gucci. It wasn't. I'm talking original Gucci.
Yeah.
It was the whole item wasn't made under the name. It wasn't a piece from them, an authorized piece. However, it was made by, you said, the grandson or son of Gucci, using the exact same materials from the exact same factories. And it's a really interesting piece and an interesting kind of history to it.
I love them personally.
I think they're getting rarer as well.
I love them more than Gucci, obviously, but I think it's a fun little talking piece. If you take one of these out from a distance, like on body, that's Gucci.
Do you know the funny thing is, I'm looking, sorry guys if I'm interrupting again, but I'm looking on camera, and apart from maybe the tips of the inner GG, and that's because I do this all day, every day, honestly, from afar, it is exact print. It's only when you see the plus.
Another little thing about this is that he wanted to make Gucci more affordable, and he wanted to actually put Gucci into
like regular
supermarkets.
Regular department stores and supermarkets.
And this was the line that was going to go into the supermarkets. Obviously never did, etc. But in terms of, the thing is with 80s bags, and people may disagree, I don't know, but I think they're all of a certain standard, so they're not the Gucci you have today. There is the vintage nature of these bags. They aren't as manufactured as today, as in as in the high quality.
Agreed.
So I actually don't think there's any difference between this and a standard Gucci of the same nature. I've had vintage Gucci's, I had 70s Gucci's, etc. It's just as good quality. Obviously,
an official Gucci bag of that era is the same quality.
They command roughly the same money as well as vintage Gucci. It's all around the same price point, so this isn't cheaper, for example,
than if it would be regular kind of Gucci bucket bag.
To be honest, I actually think they're more durable than vintage, like I
said.
It's harder, I would pay for a similar amount. So if we go through the bag, it's a drawstring classic bag. That's the opening and the closure with the toggle pull strings in leather. The leather is vintage, and if you are familiar with like vintage luxury, it has a certain quality to it that isn't the same as leather today. It's almost like thinner. But obviously this is in very good condition. We haven't actually got our leather gels to this yet, which we like to leather gel, look after bags, restore them as much as we can naturally, if that makes sense. It's got the gold brass eyelets all around the bag. The back of the bag is plain minus the monogramming on the sort of oilcloth material. On the front you've got the embossed the logo in. Can you see that? The plaque?
Keep a little bit forward.
It has worn. It's got some slight fade to it.
Yep.
But it's there, and you can read it. It says Gucci Plus. I have a lot of people for a long time it had life of its own then. That I've been asked before if it's plus size. If they did like a plus size off range vintage, it's not at all. It's not nothing to do. Plus size wasn't even a thing in the 1980s.
I think you said it wasn't. No, it wasn't a thought.
You were a weight or a weight. It wasn't like it wasn't a term. Plus size is a very like modern term.
And I would also say, as sad as it is now, obviously it's different. But back then, definitely luxury. It wasn't. It didn't go hand in hand, I'm afraid.
Unfortunately.
There's stamping, I believe, on all the hardware on that as well, isn't there?
So as you'll see on this one, this is the toggle here. I don't know if you can see. The Gucci logo in is exactly the same as Gucci. So it literally is a Gucci product. I can't say that anymore.
That says plus as well, doesn't it, on the hardware?
Gucci product. It was just
Sorry to talk over you. On the hardware, it actually says Gucci Plus as well, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it says Gucci Plus, but it's all the same hardware. If you've ever experienced vintage of this time, it's exactly the same hardware as anything else was.
Every material on that bag is identical, isn't it?
No different. It's got a solid base. There's a little bit of wear on R1 here, but it really is very minimal.
And that's the base in place.
And it's a lovely solid base, which I love to see in a bag. It's very structured considering it's in that oilcloth material.
I would say the only bag I know of we've had recently, which would be a similar kind of a shape and size, was the Noe we had in.
I've already mentioned that when you were not here.
Apologies.
See, look.
What happens when I dive in?
You doubt my
yeah, it's a good size comparison. That's why I
So
mentioned.
the inside is one large crevice.
Why would we even say that? But
I
go
was
on.
trying to think of a large compartment.
Cavernous compartment.
You've got you've got a zip compartment on the back, and then you've got the gold brass plaque. My stuffing is rougher in the background, and it's very naughty for doing so.
This is why Austin usually gets rid of the...
It's there, making all the noise. Go. The gold brass plaque there. Obviously, during this time in the 80s, they didn't what's the word, plating that they use now wasn't the same. So that you do get a very quick tarnish. It was more of like a colour on top of like a silver.
Like whereas now they're kind of triple and electroplated and all this kind of different stuff.
And if you're familiar with, I know I keep saying it, but it's very like a weird thing if you're familiar with vintage. I try and describe it as much as possible, but like if you know vintage, you'll know what I'm talking about straight away.
Yeah, because when we sorry to interrupt, but when we talk about vintage Gucci, or I think it's one of the only brands which it's so different to what you get nowadays. As regards the feel, but if you felt vintage Gucci, you know exactly what we're talking about.
We've had some 80s pieces that Austin, he fought me till the cows come home on the authenticity, to the point where we took it to an authenticator, and she was like, I don't know why you're, she knew us, she's like, I don't know why you're bringing this to me.
And just to clarify, this person works for Gucci currently. I don't know why you're bringing this to me, you know it is. And we did both know, myself included, but it's one of those things that the materials, this one isn't one of those ones, but some of the, especially from the 80s, some of the leathers, not the canvases, but the leathers, would you not agree, they are so thin?
They were thin. They're not thinner than today. They were still a nice quality, they were just thinner than today.
But in comparison, if you've only been using or dealing with the bags the last few years, it's very different.
So, yes, sir. Inside is like what I was talking about before Austin rudely interrupted. This is what everyone has to go at you in the comments, Austin.
Have a go at me again. Keep it up.
It's like a suede-ette. It is suede, but it's normally very thin, and it has a tendency to flake. Louis used to do it. Some Louis still do it. It's like that suede, that really thin suede-ette material that does tend to flake. This is immaculate. It's so good. I'm so impressed by this. Whoever had this bag before I had it, because can you see that clearly?
Yeah.
It's in a very, very nice condition, and it's a really good medium-sized bag as well. Whereas a lot of the vintage stuff tends to come up a bit smaller, because obviously, like Louis, like Hermes, like whoever. Gucci were very famous for trunks and luggage. Like that was the thing. And then they obviously started to make what's that fascinating thing I heard? Another local consignment dress agency shop said that the Noes were invented to carry champagne. Do you remember? Because they were like bucket shaped.
Yeah.
They were used to transfer and carry champagne. That's why the shape of them is the shape of them.
Yeah.
So, like I'm saying, all bags from those different brands were based off of luggage pieces.
Yes, and had purposes.
Yeah, purposes. But so this is available to buy with us in store. Obviously, not in store because we're not allowed to open. I get so used to saying in store, but we're not allowed to open the store.
But from our store, whether it be web or
our store.
Yeah.
You can purchase via Instagram. It's on Instagram now. It will be going onto the website. I'm just having my hard goods handbag area renovated and built. It was never built. I was using other things. So that is coming. It's taking a bit longer than it would have because of lockdown, etc. But that is coming, and all the handbags then will be uploaded onto the website www.bsluxurylifestyle.com. Other than that, I don't know how much we're going to retail it for. Maybe 300, 350.
Yeah, around about the 350.
Because it is in very good condition for the age. It's a very wearable bag. It's a very cool bag. It's a very contemporary bag.
It's also, at this point, becoming a lot rarer to get these pieces. So as much as...
in this condition as well.
I was just going to say, I've seen a few Gucci Plus pieces which are really, really tired and old and just used and not really resellable. But in this condition, I think the price of these, and I'm not just saying this, I think they're going to go up.
Yeah.
Because for a collector, these pieces were only created for so long.
It's a lovely example. So yeah, I just wanted to go through Gucci Plus with you and explain what it is and show you that we now got an example in. We got a Gucci. If you're really into Gucci and you come to this channel, you come to this video because of Gucci. We got a Gucci Jackie coming in. Obviously they've just not re-released, sort of re-released. They've
Rejuvenated things.
Rehyped them.
Yep.
So we've got one of those coming in, so that's really cool. If you're into Gucci, we have various pieces, camera bags, purses. We've got some Continent long style wallets coming in. I'm also doing a personal haul because I bought too many pairs of shoes.
We also have, which we will release in the next few days, a private appointment with Bicester Village Gucci. And we will be doing that live on camera.
I love the enthusiasm there.
Live on camera.
If you're into Gucci, if you're into other brands, we also do Hermes reviews, Chanel reviews, Mulberry reviews, Louis Vuitton reviews, Chloe reviews. I don't know. We got reviews. So if you're interested in that, then please view our other videos, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Sorry, we're trying to cut down our interrupting, so if you've got this far and the interrupting hasn't killed you off, then thank you. And we'll see you again for some more comment reacting videos, Bicester Village Hall.
And interruptions.
Oh God, in lockdown and other things coming soon. So thank you for watching. Hopefully the lockdown will be done soon and we can actually go shopping.